I am so excited to start this series on the five elements. Actually, I've already started the five elements series where I went over the entire structure of the five elements and how they work as a dynamic whole. And what I promised was that I would do a separate training for each of the elements so that you can see how to integrate some of these characteristics and aspects and kind of ways of being into your life and see maybe where you might be out of balance and what you can do about that. So I like to start with the wood element. And the reason I like to start with the wood element is because the wood element is the first element of the series. So it's wood, fire, earth, metal, water. And although they're dynamic and one creates the other, and so in some senses, you can say there's no beginning and no end. But I like to work with the wood element first because it's all about birthing something new. Now, you can argue that what's being birthed was germinated in the water element, but we're just going to start with the wood element. And there's another reason why, because the wood element, again, is about birthing something new, growing something, creating a structure, a vision. This step is about identifying goals, visions, aspirations, planning, and planning a way to get there. So the wood element loves to plan. So you can see why I like to talk about this first in the series. And it's the way I was taught the five elements as well. If you haven't watched the video for the five elements yet, go ahead and watch that. You can watch after or before, but I each element has a season, has a set of characteristics, and there's each element really generates or creates the next one. It's a holistic system, meaning if one area breaks down, the whole system will eventually break down. It's kind of like a part in your car breaks down, is broken, and then everything else starts to fall apart, just like our bodies and just like nature. So it's kind of as above, so below. So we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And so the wood element is the season is springtime, right? It's when things are just being birthed, new life is being grown, things are just starting to bloom. So this is really a time when this structure and this planning and this goal setting is so important. As far as our bodies, the organ systems that are aligned with this wood element are the liver and gallbladder. So I love doing cleanses in the spring. I think they're the best time to do cleanses. Actually, two best times I like to do cleanses are spring, because that's the liver. So that's going to be you're going to optimize your cleanse by doing it in the springtime, because that's the liver season. And then also I like it in the fall because it's like, what are you letting go of? So we'll talk about the fall element, which is the metal element in another video. Okay. So again, this wood element, we actually all have a dominant personality in a certain element. Like I always say, my daughter is very much a wood element archetype, but we all have a little bit of every element, and we all have to go through the phases of all the elements. So it's important to understand them all, what you relate to the most, where you thrive, where you feel like you need work, and how they all work together. So the wood element archetype like I said, is a planner. I just said this is the planning phase. And by the way, let me just back up a little bit. With the liver, the organ is the liver and the gallbladder, but it's also the liver sense organ is the eyes. So it's about your vision, but it's also about your intuitive vision. So like kind of that third eye vision. So it's not just your physical vision, but it's more that intuition, that creative vision. So they are creative visionaries, these wood element types. They are typically very motivated, very driven. They love the ability to control their future and destiny. That's why planning is like a really big part of this phase: goal setting, planning, having a structure, right? That's a wood element. Think about that. It's a structure. It's the foundation of any project you're going to create. You always want to start with this wood element because you want to have a strong structure and foundation to work on and a plan to create that vision that you're creating. Wood types have a strong sense of what works and how to move around obstacles. They're also very confident. They tend to be very confident. And to achieve their goals and to get their future, the wood type needs to be organized and purposeful. They are usually list makers, organized, self-directed, and structured. Now, on the other side of the coin of these qualities, the wood types can, even when well adapted, can have an edge. They can be a little prickly. They are ready to do combat to get to their goals, and they are not afraid or bashful about arguing with and confronting whoever stands in their way. Very driven, and unapologetic. At times, though, they can be abrasive, controlling, and even a little pushy. Fortunately for the wood element, anyone in their path, forgiveness and patience are also part of their virtues. And this can really neutralize the frustration and anger and impatience and hostility that that are some of the more toxic emotions of a maladapted wood element. Again, sense of control over their life is probably their biggest priority. I would say also trust. Trust is really important. So they have to trust you. They trust themselves, but they have to trust you. Now, we always look at when as a Chinese medicine practitioner, we always look at where is the imbalance? Is it too much wood or is it deficient wood? So excess wood, deficient wood. And often an excess wood condition shows up in anger and irritability, where a deficient wood element shows up in with low motivation, low ambition, depressed feelings, pessimism, guilt. I like to think of the character Eeyore, where he's like, woe is me. Now, back to you. Creating a clear vision and setting goals are essential for you as a woman in midlife so that you can navigate the transitions and changes that come during this phase of life. So ask yourself, what do you really want for your life? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want it to feel like? I want you to paint that picture, use that vision, hold that vision. See it and feel it for yourself. See yourself there. Be there. Get really specific. So, are you clear about this new season's purpose for your life? Do you want to travel? Do you want to start a new hobby? Do you have a project in mind that you want to start or create? Is it something big? Is it something small? What is the new experience that you want to create? How do you want to spend your days? Who do you want to spend your time with? I want you to step into this, what I think of as an upgraded, new, badass version of yourself, the one that feels confident, vital, energized, peaceful, inspired, and does not give a damn what others think about you. By setting intentions that are really about you and nobody else, because there's no other you out there like you, I want you to feel unapologetic about it. I want you to feel inspired by it and not create something that you think society says you should be doing or anybody or any family or friends or community thinks that you should be doing or that they're doing in their lives. I want you to think about what you want. What do you want? I did this leadership training once where we literally, this is so crazy. It was kind of an intense leadership training. And one of the first exercises we had to do with a partner was we had to ask each other, what do you want? And we had to do it in a way that was going to elicit emotion, meaning basically what we did was scream at each other until we broke down and shared our deepest desires. All we just was said was, what do you want? 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 Until you're like, I want, like whatever's the thing that you secretly desire and want, and maybe have been too afraid to say it or too embarrassed or worried about what other people think of you. Like, we're done with that. We're done with that shit. We are done, done, done with it. So set your intentions high. Create your vision about your goals, your desires, your dream. You can clarify your vision for the future and break it down into actionable steps. So you don't feel like you have to, it's like too much to take on all at once. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It could just literally, if you say, this is what I want to create, even in the next year, whatever. This is what I want to experience. This is what I want to do. Write it down. Write down every emotion that is associated with that. What does it feel like if you speak to it within present tense as if it's already happened? What are you saying about it? What are you saying about yourself? I want you to plan it out. I want you to break it down. It says, okay, if 1 year I want to, in 1 year or whatever it is, I want to have this experience. Great. The wood element's going to say, what are the steps that you need to get there? And then break it down into bite-sized little steps that make it so doable and that you feel inspired every day to do. So now plan it out. Wood element, like I said, loves planning, creating the right foundation right from the start. So don't underestimate the power of a good goal and vision with a plan. Make it so simple and obvious and that you think, oh, had I known it was going to be this easy, I would have done this a while ago. But don't even worry about it because you're here now and you get to do this now. This step gets to be liberating, creating the life we want now and in our future, right? This can be something small, again, like a daily habit or a ritual, or a big step like traveling like I did to Portugal for 3 months this past year and Sri Lanka for a month, or going on another big adventure. Do you want to do a friend of mine is going to Patagonia to do a 10-day trek. I mean, that's amazing. So what is it that you want to do? If you want to know what I secretly want to do, when I turn 60, which is a year from now, I want to do the Santiago, El Camino Santiago, whatever it's called, that trek in Spain, Portugal. I haven't decided where, but that's my goal. And so I'm already thinking about what do I need to do to train. I'm already looking up training schedules. So there it is. I just outed myself. I want to do the Camino de Santiago. I think that's what it's called. And I want to do that trek. And that's my plan for my 60th birthday. So what about you? What do you want? Look, when I traveled last year for 4 months out of the country, I had to make a plan. I had to create the vision. I had to see myself there, feel what it feels like, and believe it to be true, and then create the plan to make it happen. And I want you to remember this little quote. It is, what got you here will get you there. So basically what that means is we are no longer in our 20s or 30s, but the good news is that we are wiser. So lean into that wisdom and craft your goals from that place. Now, the nature of the tree, which represents the wood element, is grounded. It's stable, it's grounded, but it's also flexible, right? You think about the leaves blowing in the wind. And so while having a plan is essential, don't be too rigid. Stay in that flow. And if you get stuck and frustrated, that's just a sign that your wood element is out of balance. So here's a little tip for you. First, if you want to activate that wood element, you can, first of all, if you want to activate the vision, like if you want to like really be open to the vision, first of all, I would say, ask yourself over and again, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And then to kind of open up that third eye vision, take lavender essential oil and just put it on. This is a point called the yin tongue, right over the third eye. Just hold it there and let just the energy of that inner vision come to. And if you're feeling stuck, you can use blue tansy on acupuncture point liver 3, which is going to help move that stuck energy. I hope this is helpful. And I look forward to hearing. I want to hear in the comments, like, what do you want to create? What inspires you? What is your vision? What do you want? All right. We'll see you in the next element for fire. Now, that's a fun one to talk about. We'll see you then.